going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about trka. Today, it's just Woodford, run-of-the-mill type of thing. So your favorite bourbon and scotch review channel. I think it's a good daily. Take it for what it is. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just here to entertain you guys. Let's look at what we have. Interesting day. Very, very interesting day. And you know what? We at least have something that we can now potentially work with. So I'm not upset about having a little bit of price action that is usable, at least, because every other day I've just been having to come on here and look at a chart that's going down, and there's not a whole lot of TA we can do with down besides stare at trend lines and see if it's ever going to break out. But at least if we get a little bit of some sort of variance in the candles, we get something to work with as far as the TA goes. So we're going to look at that. We'll look at the incorrect ortex, and we'll talk about what we're going to be looking for from this moment going forward. It's 2:48 here, so 3:48 market time. Got 12 minutes left in the market. We're going to see how we close out the day. But interesting. Volume kind of backed off just a little bit, but expected. Volume exhaustion, real thing. It happens. We might see a little bit more volume exhaustion even once we get starting to settle down to some sort of accumulation phase, or just see how the charts move whenever we get a little bit less volatility in there. So it might get very, very boring. But you know what? At one point, we were okay. We were probably cheering, dancing, and then at one point, we were probably nervous and just kind of wondering what's going to happen next. But let's look at it. So as far as what we have truly going on is kind of still a rejection from this trend line. You can see it. We've had this drawn up for quite a while. We've had a breakout or two that just kind of fake pumped us out, and then it just came back down and got ugly again. We're still playing right here. Perfect rejection off the trend line. So TA does work. Don't let anybody tell you TA does not work. You can't draw up one of these lines 5 days in advance and it continue to act as some sort of resistance or support. Also, let's look at our level right where we had all of our double, triple, quadruple bottoms. What happens whenever you fall through a level of support? It then becomes resistance. So at that point, it acts as something that's going to hold you up till you break through. Here we are right here at our 2120. What happens? It acts as resistance along with perfect timing into our trend line. How convenient. So what am I looking for in the very near future? I guess I'm looking for anywhere in the low range of 20. We don't want to lose that as we climb along here. So where's Wednesday end? Let's see. Yeah, today's not Thursday, right? No, today's Wednesday. Okay. So a low of 20 is what I would want to see at the very most to the downside. And then to the upside, 21.25. If we can see the support down here, or if we can see the resistance up here, I'd be watching for either the breakdown or the break up. Now, this pattern, again, we've seen this before. Let's see what happens. Usually, it will continue to act in the manner it comes into the pattern. But I think we're getting down there low enough where it may or may not want to. So we did come down and test quite a low today. If it does want to act as a downside, I could see it pushing us down into that range that we're kind of watching, concerned about, somewhere here in about 16.5 cents to 18 cent range, if it wants to push us one more leg down to the downside. So that's what I'm looking at as far as near-term worst-case scenario as of right now. Can I guarantee you that? No, I cannot guarantee you that. If it wants to break to the upside, if it finally wants to make this trend line breakout and push to the upside, that would be great. We've seen them break out of the trend line and then just continue a new downward trend. So maybe we'll see the breakout and continue some sort of new just downward trend until we see a true reversal. But the good thing is this is kind of the, I don't know, I would say the most stable, a little bit of the most stable action that we've seen for quite a while without getting jostled around too much. So it gives me a little bit of comfort that maybe some of the volatility will back off, and that's worth noting. So keep an eye on how we're moving as we bounce around in here and everything just kind of coils up and decides what way it wants to go. If we're to the upper side on that breakout around 2090, I think that could be a pretty decent area to pull us up as far as our volume profile goes. But if we are anywhere below 2090 as we're winding our way down into the point of this, there's a lot of activity down here. So I can see it wanting to come down here and possibly take on some of that liquidity. So let's just keep an eye on it. It's at 2065 right now, and there's 7 minutes left in the market. So that's shorter time frames. The longer time frames, I mean, they're pretty well doing the exact same thing that we're looking at on the shorters. How's our RSIs looking? So you guys know I like to see 50 on the RSIs if I'm going to start saying something might get a little bullish, or if I'm looking to play something to the upside. Right now we are just below 50. We're at 49.20, so we're making a little bit of headway. Our RSI's kind of falling behind us, but let's see. Yeah, still making some decent grind. We will dip below it here and there, but at the same time it's making a decent grind, so it's just taking some time, as far as I can tell. The 30-minute is at 40 right now. We need those shorter time frames, obviously, to start cranking, to start heating up these longer time frames. The 1 hour is at 34, which, I mean, to me is oversold. We could go down a little bit lower into the 30 range, and I guess that would be more of what mainstream wants to tell you is oversold, but I think 34 qualifies as being oversold. 37 on the 4 hour and 42.5 on the daily. So the daily has cooled off to a point where we definitely want to start seeing this kind of be a point where we can start turning things around. If not, we got a couple, 2, 3, 4 cents down to the downside. And I mean, if you've been here this long, who knows? You probably will still be here a little bit later. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't know if you guys are options traders or not. Follow me on Twitter if you guys like options. I throw out levels for SPY is a popular one. I try to throw out SPY channels. Scalper, I will play my channels, and they work very well. So if you want UT_vids, I don't know. Sometimes I'm entertaining, sometimes I'm not. But it's easier to just throw out some quick levels or reminders, or if I see anything going on in any plays, I will throw them out there if I'm keeping my eye on it. So if you want, daytime updates and not have to wait for a video at the end of the day, there'll be some midday updates as far as that goes if you want to. Also, let's look at Ortex. Ortex incorrect, saying it's coming down just a little bit. Cost to borrow average has come down a little bit, so maybe some shares were returned. We've seen some decent action today, so possibly some shorts might have decided to return their shares, but still, I think these numbers are inaccurate, so not too worried about that. Like I've told you in the past, I don't care if this is a short squeeze or not, and I would prefer it to not be, because one less manipulative action in any stock that I'm trading makes me a happy person. So if we don't have to worry about that, that's great. We don't have options, so the market makers aren't going to be screwing with us quite as much, as long as we don't have volume that's trading 2, 3, 4, 5 times the float. we're okay there. We'll just wait and see if those FTDs come back in. Like I say, the FTDs often do not do a whole lot because they're still keeping it under control while they're delivering those FTDs. So don't put a whole lot of faith in that. We're just looking for all of everything to be behind us, and then hopefully just be a fundamental play with Jeffries in the background. And who knows, maybe with a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, we will be able to actually have a play come back in here. And I think we're getting close. Like I said, if this is not going to act as support and break us to the upside, we're going to have a little more pain, few 3-4 cents in the meantime. And then at that point, have a trading plan for sure, because who knows what would happen from there. But we'll look at the setup whenever that comes, and you guys know I give it to you straight whether I think it's going to go up or down. And like I said, this pattern typically will break into the same direction that it comes into, which unfortunately is to the downside, but there's always chances, right? Statistics and percentages, they work that many times, whether it's 60%, 70% of the time, 30% of the time they get defied. That's why we never really know. But if you're long in this one, then we're hoping for the defiance of the odds. If you're short in this one, then obviously you're playing the odds. And I never care what way you play any of the tickers I talk about, because I'm just giving you the levels, and you guys make your own decisions as to how you want to play it and what is going to be the most profitable for you. It's all about you. It's not about anybody else in the play, and you don't need to listen to any of the noise. If you have conviction in your thesis and you play with that conviction, then by all means go ahead and stick to it. If you have a trading plan, that's key. Protecting capital, number one. Making money, number two. Live to trade another day. Don't deny your trading plan. I have a video out there with an updated trading plan. It has a very nice list of rules that I abide by most of the time, and you guys are welcome to steal any of them, or you can create your own, but I encourage everybody to do that as well. So that's where we're at. You got the Twitter, you got time to look back on the video of the trading plan that was created. You know what we're looking for in this play. And also, if you're an options trader, then definitely follow the Twitter, because most of the time I'm trading options. We called out SPY today at a base around 384.13 with a return back to about 389, and that was a pretty solid play. Those options were 25 cents whenever it was talked about, and they sold for $1.45. So quite a bit of profit there if you are an options trader. Again, we just play the levels, play the channels, and scalp them. It doesn't always have to be a hold situation, especially if you're playing options. But shares are a little bit different. We can take those with a different approach. But SPY looked okay today. It's sitting at 389 right now in the after hours, which is beautiful. That's going to boost the overall markets, which will give hopefully TRKA a little bit of room to breathe as long as it can hold. But we'll see how the markets want to respond. If SPY can get above 389.50, we got a pretty decent area that it could potentially pull us back to the upside around 393.50 before we would hit this trend line rejection. But we do have significant downside, and I am bearish overall long term on the markets for right now, just because of everything that's going on. So you lose 384.70 down to about 383.78, and that's a quick down to around 383. So we have some significant action that's going to go on in the overall markets, I think, whether it be to the upside for $4 or to the downside for about $6. And I think that's going to affect TRKA, just because the overall markets either allow our plays to run or they do hinder them just a little bit. Negative beta, I don't know. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. But we'll take it one step at a time. We'll talk about it as it comes. And I hope you guys had a good day in the markets. Otherwise, as always, stay golden, people, and may your accounts stay green.